like to call this meeting to order. Let's grab our seats, put our phone on stun. So thank you for joining us during our weekly hybrid MLS breakfast meeting. My name is Jeff Huey Huang with KW Executive, and I am your program chair for today. Now, help me welcome our moderator for today's panel, Brandon Sanvratsky, sorry, of First American NHD, who will be introducing our panelists.
You can also just say, hey, you tall white guy over there. That works too. Okay, so I just wanted to say that thank you to the panelists first for participating in this. This is something that we've talked a lot about over the last couple weeks. But those of you who have not heard any of this, I highly suggest that you either take notes or that you pay attention, because this information that they're going to be expressing to you is obviously based on the damage and fires and all the information that will be really helpful for you and your clients. And so I highly encourage you to take notes, and the information that they're going to provide is really good. My name's Brandon Savransky with First American NHD. No introduction needed. You guys know who I am, but I will send it over to Sage, Adriana, and James so they can intro and give you a little snapshot of who they are.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sage Gomez. I'm with my NHG, and I've been in the industry for about 6 years now, if you can believe it. And this was my very first board that I joined, so you guys are very special to me.
Good morning, everyone. Adriana Morgan with Puro of Dimas. I am the business developer for Puro. What we are is restoration company. We restore properties, both commercial and residential, from damages caused by fire, water, mold, and biohazards. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is James Chen, a State Farm agent in the city of Arcadia. I've been a State Farm agent for about 10 years, working in insurance, helping people with their home, auto, life insurance. Prior to that, worked in finance. Thank you.
Awesome. So we definitely have the all-star team here today for sure. So with the first question, Sage, obviously we had the most devastating wildfires in the history of California, as all of you know. How can reading your NHD prepare you for natural disasters like this fire?
Well, I know that you and I come upon this all the time, Brandon, but how many of you actually read your NHD by a show of hands? Okay, we got a couple of you. It's okay. I understand you think it's not important, but when things like the fires just occur, a lot of people have been calling us and saying, wow, I can't believe I didn't read it. It said that not only was I in a very high fire zone, I was in local responsibility area zone. I was in a state responsibility zone for fire. Read your NHD. It can prepare you for all the hypothetical situations that can occur, not only for fire, but for earthquakes, for floods, for anything that's a natural hazard that you don't think of on the day-to-day. The perfect example that I like to bring up is, have any of you watched the movie Aaron Brockovich? So anything that are hazards that are, or chemicals that are emitted into the air, they're put into a government database, and you can find that within your NHD, right? Read your NHD. It can prepare you for stuff that you're not prepared for. Read your NHD.
All right, Adriana, my home was not directly affected by the fire, but do I still need to call a restoration company?
Well, thank you, tall white guy. The answer is if you are within the immediate area, I would recommend that you call a restoration company. We do have we are getting a lot of calls for smoke damage. So let's say that your house is standing and everything in there is fine, but your neighbor's house burned. So there's a huge chance that all the ash and soot from your neighbor and the surrounding area is making itself at home in your home. So I would say definitely call a restoration company and have somebody come out and do an inspection, make sure there's no ash, soot in your insulation and inside your house.
Awesome. And James, we know that you definitely are somebody that people have probably called many, many times in the last couple of months. Obviously, the insurance questions are something that a lot of people are having questions about. So does homeowners insurance cover natural disasters?
Yes, your homeowner's insurance does cover natural disasters. Disasters such as wildfires, uh, smoke damage, water damage, rain, hail, snow. Those things are covered under your homeowner's policy. Some things that are not covered, however, under your homeowner's policy, two things in particular, earthquake and also mudslides are not covered under your home policy. Earthquakes, movement of the earth. So after an earthquake, there may be some aftershocks. You may not be able to get a policy for short amount of time period till everything settles. So those two items are not covered. Flood, the mudslide, anything water from the ground up and entering your home, that's not covered as well. And so check with Sage, see if you need flood insurance because she could tell you if you're in a flood area or not.
Awesome. And Sage, why are certain hazards within the NHG legally mandated to be disclosed?
Okay, I'm gonna go right back to you, James. So the NHG, there's 6 hazards that need to legally be disclosed. So it doesn't matter what NHG company you're working with, all NHG companies have to disclose 6. 2 are flood, 2 are fire, and 2 are earthquake. All those lead to James. They all lead to insurance. And again, read your NHG because we will tell you again, 2 flood, 2 fire, 2 earthquake. Could you be in danger of it? Again, it's all an act of God. It's all hypothetical, but it could happen. You never know. So those 6, I'm just going to go over it really, really briefly. So you have just a typical flood zone. If you're in a flood zone, what do you need? Flood insurance. Another type of flood zone is a dam zone. So anything that could be near a dam failure that could potentially happen. You have a very high fire zone, and then you have a state responsibility area as well. Lastly, are your 2 earthquake zones. You have an Alquist Priolo earthquake fault zone, which is just a fancy way of saying your regular earthquake fault zone. Lastly, you have landslides and liquefaction. Landslide, exactly what it sounds like. Anything that is on top of a slope, on the bottom of a slope, landslide. Liquefaction is just a fancy way of basically saying kind of a sinkhole. It can happen. It happens all the time. But again, it's an act of God. It can happen anywhere. Read your NHG and call James because if you are indeed in a flood, earthquake, or fire zone, you might have to get insurance.
All right. And Adriana, do you need to file a claim for smoke damage?
Short answer would be yes. Oh geez, I totally blanked out. I'm sorry. So we do have typically we would say no, like you don't need to file a claim or I'm not an insurance agent, but due to the disaster, we do recommend that you file a claim. Typically it would kind of be like frowned upon or not frowned upon, but the insurance might say, oh, you don't need to file a claim for this, but because of the size of the disaster, we are definitely encouraging people to file a claim as soon as possible. And I would recommend that you file the claim, get a hold of your adjuster, and then speed up the process that way so that when you do contact the restoration company, you already have an adjuster assigned and that'll just speed up your process.
Awesome. Thanks, Adriana. And as most of you noticed, a lot of the topics and a lot of the information ties into each other. And so that's why having your team and relying on all these great people to answer a lot of those questions, you don't need to know that information. And so, James, what else does the homeowner's insurance policy cover?
Your homeowner's insurance is going to cover the cost to replace your home. That's called coverage A. Coverage A has changed through, the last few years. The reason I say that, it's a good time to revisit because maybe you had a policy 10 years ago. The cost to replace your home 10 years ago is not the same as today. I've seen some contractors asking $800 to $1,000 per square feet to repair the homes that have been damaged in the recent fires, whereas just a few years ago could have been done for about $250 to $500, $250 to like $350. So about a 3x amount they're asking for cost to replace. So revisit that with your agent. You also have personal property coverage. Personal property is going to be the belongings inside your home, your furniture, clothes, things of that nature. You also have loss of use. Loss of use is very important because this is going to cover your time away from your home. The cost to rent a comparable home or an apartment. It could be a hotel, depending on how long the stay, you may need tens of thousands or hundreds of $1,000s for loss of use. So please revisit that because some homes going to take 3, 4, 5 years to rebuild. Some coverages have actual loss usage. So if it takes 5 years to rebuild, the insurance carrier is going to cover 5 years of your living expenses. But if you have a $50,000 limit, then guess what? You're, half a year in, you're going to have to pay for your own displacement cost. And also you have liability coverage under your home policy. This covers, liability that may arise at your home, someone gets hurt or injured on your premises. Those are the main components of your homeowner's policy.
Awesome. Thanks, James. And just like I said, is there a way, Sage, that you can utilize the NHG rep to get more information on how to be better prepared in the event of a wildfire?
Absolutely. So any NHG rep that you are using, if you go to their website, regardless of what NHG rep you're using, they all have amazing tools that you can utilize to be prepared for a wildfire. For example, I know that Brandon and I think John's as well, we all provide the CAR form, the Fire Hardy and Defensible Space Advisory. So how many of you are familiar with that? The CAR form, Fire Hardy and Defensible Space Advisory. All right. So if you're located in a 1 to 4 unit property, the home was built before 2010, and you're located in a very high fire zone, and the home requires a TDS, you have to fill out the form CAR Fire Hardy and Defensible Space Advisory. That's a fun word to say 3 times. So read your NHG. If you are, again, all 3 of those qualify, all 4 of those qualify, and you have to fill out that CAR form, you're going to find that within your NHG. That's why utilize your NHG rep. We can help you with the CAR form. We can help you find out if you're located in a very high fire zone or a flood zone. We can help you with all the things that you need to do to be prepared in the event of a wildfire, not only for you, but for your clients as well. That's why you need to utilize your NHG rep. And regardless, even if we're not focused on fires, there's other tools within your NHG rep and within the NHG rep's websites that you can utilize as an agent.
All righty. And Adriana, can you talk briefly about what the smoke remediation process is?
Yes, so smoke remediation is more than just your deep cleaning. It's not something that your cleaning crew can typically come in and mitigate. We do use state-of-the-art equipment. We have HEPA filters. We have a cool machine called the ozone. You put it in your house and it sucks out the air of the room, so you don't want to be in there when that's on. We also treat a lot of the surfaces, your walls, your ceilings. The HVAC needs to be taken care of properly, cleaned out, and 99% of the time, if you're within the immediate area, your insulation in the attic will most likely need to be changed. So we also do that. And we mitigate the content. As James was saying, everything in your house is taken care of. Your soft surfaces are taken care of properly. Your clothing, your walls are treated, your frames are treated, everything. So it is very tedious, and it's not something that you can just have a crew of like the Merry Maids come in and do. So yeah. So it's if you guys need to know a little more or anything, just feel free to reach out if you have any questions. But yeah, pretty much we do top to bottom cleanup. So yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Adriana. And James, what do I need to do to file a homeowner's claim?
Before you file a claim, I would suggest 1, talk to your agent. 1A, talk to Adriana. The reason for that is you want to determine if the claim is covered, and you want to determine if it's claim worthy, okay? So what I mean by if it's covered or not, you may have like some things that may be covered, some things that may not be covered by your homeowner's insurance. And you want to get a loss estimate also as well. Adriana's company can help you with a loss estimate. You determine what the extent of the loss is because your home has a deductible. If the damage is $5,000, but your deductible is $5,000, a claim is not going to pay out because the loss does not exceed the deductible. So that's why I say it's very important, especially if your customers or your homes have been affected by the Eaton fires or the Palisades fire. If a home next door has burned down and your home is adjacent to it, there may be smoke damage. And right now there is claim forgiveness. A lot of carriers have claim forgiveness. So it's better to consult with the experts. Check with Adriana, see if your home has been affected or not, because you cannot tell by sight, maybe not even by scent, but the experts can determine if it, merits a claim. And if your home is very close to the damaged properties, it may very well be something that's covered, and there's claim forgiveness for that as well. It doesn't go against your claim record.
Awesome. Thanks, James. And Sage, what is the #1 natural disaster in America?
I like to ask this question because it will surprise you. Who here knows what the #1 natural disaster in America is? Anyone? Water, that's correct. The #1 natural disaster in America is flooding, because at least you can try to protect yourself from fire with water. You can't really protect yourself from flooding. That's why it's the #1 natural disaster in America. Again, I'm going to keep saying it. Read your NHD. And a fun fact, wherever it rains, it has the potential to flood.
All right. And Adriana, can a restoration company also help with reconstruction?
Yes. So there are restoration companies that also double as construction companies, but you want to make sure that you check their qualifications. There are, especially because of this disaster, there is a lot of fraud happening. So I would say make sure that you dot your I's and cross your T's. But yes, there are restoration companies, and when you contact them, they will let you know if they can help you from top to bottom, or if they only do the restoration and mitigation. But yes, but answer is yes.
And James, what can I do to prevent future damage or exposure?
Well, the same way you would maintain your car, I would say keep regular maintenance on your home. The reason for that is that sometimes the cost upfront will help to prolong the life of the structure. The vehicle, when you get an oil change on time or rotate the tires, those things help to maintain your car. With your home, keep debris away from the home, because in situations such as the wildfire, debris can catch on fire, and then it could spread and cause more damage. If there is adequate space between homes, your home may be spared. But if there's like tires in the back, furniture in the back, that's just like that has been stored there, those things can catch on fire and then cause more damage. So maintain the home, clear like the gutters, your roof. If your roof has, say, for example, shingle roof may have a 30-year lifespan. If you're on your 50th year, that roof may need to be replaced, because insurance covers what is considered accidental and sudden. Wear and tear, the same thing with your car, wear and tear is not covered with insurance. For example, if there was rain damage and your roof was obsolete already and water penetrated the home, that may not be covered. That may be denied because it's a wear and tear issue. It wasn't sudden, wasn't accidental. So I would say take care of your home, maintain it well, and then that can help to prevent some of the things that can be devastating.
Awesome. Thanks, James. And are we going to open it up to questions? I know you do you have any online? None online? All right. Do we have the mic? Here, hold on. Let's get the mic so that they can hear you online.
This for Adriana and James. I started receiving this like a claim phishing from the lawyers to submit, for any kind of home damage, smokes, or anything. So do we submit that and have him to go through to check out the house? How's that work?
Is for a lawyer?
Well, I don't make any legal decisions for my customers.
Right.
That's solely subject to the individual. They make the best decision based on their circumstances. Sometimes the legal, the office is just looking for a class action also.
Yeah,
That's what they're doing. And of course, there is power by numbers, but I don't offer legal advice, so I couldn't say yes or no. I would say work your loss with your insurance agency first. If they don't aren't able to take care of you for whatever reason, then you may need to seek legal advice. But I wouldn't necessarily jump that hurdle and go to legal advice before consulting with your insurance, because insurance, what they do is indemnify. Indemnify mean bring you back to whole. So if home was damaged, items lost, insurance company is supposed to bring you back to where you were before. Not necessarily line your pockets with extra money, because that's not the case with insurance. Insurance just brings you back to the state prior to the damage occurred. With the legal, legal lawyers, they may want something else. And I couldn't, advise you one way or another. I would say work it out with your insurance agency first. And I think they should be able to take care of everything you need. If the policy is written correctly, has all the coverages you need, they'll take care of the situation in its entirety.
But it's like Adriana say, you had to do a lot of call this, call that to check for this or that. But if you go with this guy, and then they will take care of it. So I don't have to jump all over and then.
Yeah, so you like he said, I'm not gonna tell you whether you should get an attorney or not, but you could start with us. No, you could call your insurance agent, and then typically what we do as a restoration company is we will give you an estimate and work with your insurance and see what the insurance covers and what isn't covered, and then you kind of work your way. That's kind of when you would come in, and you would also, even instead of an attorney, you could probably consult a public adjuster, and they will help you as well. But they're not attorneys, so they won't, they don't represent the insurance or you, but it's entirely up to you. I recommend you start first with us and your insurance agent, and then it's entirely up to you where to go from there.
Morning, and thank you for the presentation. I do happen to know some people that lost their homes and some people that are actually still there. Their homes didn't burn out. A lot of repairs, a lot of cleaning, and it's still going on. It's going to be for months. Now, one thing I have also known, I have heard there are several people that have complained because now they're retired and they had this insurance that they have for some time. The house is completely gone. They're getting only this amount of money. So what are they going to do? That's one of the questions. So now where do I go? I can't rebuild. And that's one of the questions. And will also the insurance companies reinstate insurance after they rebuild those areas? So that's a question for.
Okay, so insurance is always going to cover up to your coverage limits. That's why I say it's very important to check with your agent, because some policies maybe 10, 20 years ago that they've been purchased. I mentioned earlier coverage A, one of the components, which is to cost to replace your home. Something from 10 years ago may not be adequate today. You have to look at what today's cost to rebuild your home. And also your loss of use, we mentioned earlier too. Policies can be actual loss. Actual loss mean it could be 3, 4, 5 years before the home is replaced, and you have loss of use covering your hotels, possibly meals if you don't have a kitchen. But check with your policy, because all insurance going to cover up to the coverage limits. They can't make extension for one policy and not another policy, though they always pay up to the coverage limits.
Which, by the way, that seems to be the issue, because now it's $1 million to rebuild, or 800,000. I'm only getting 200. So I don't know what these people are going to do. And I hear that already from people that have done that. Also, one question that I have for Adriana, or you mentioned something about they come up to you guys and then inspect and then contact the insurance company. Who will do that? Will that your company will do that to see what's covered? Because I know that the people that live there, at first they said, oh, they live in other places right now, because even though the house didn't burn out, there is tremendous amount of work from cleaning up everything beyond just, and it needs expertise. It's not just anybody can do it. So my question is, do you guys do the assessment to see what's covered and what's not?
We do come out and we do an estimate, so it's a detailed estimate. Typically, what we do on our end is we like to meet where the adjuster. So if you're meeting with the adjuster on a certain day, we would like to be there ideally, so we can walk the property with the adjuster. And it's faster and easier to communicate and say, hey, there's damage here, there's damage there. Is this covered? Is this not? And then they'll tell us like, well, our insurance covers this much and that much. So we will start with the estimate first, and then communicate with the adjusters and see what your insurance covers and what doesn't.
Morning, I have a couple of questions. First question is for Adriana. If a customer hires you to do a restoration because of water damage, do you report to that incident to the insurance company involved?
Y-
And second question for James is, lately the market is getting very hard to get insurance. If a customer receive a cancellation or rate increase, what do you recommend? I mean, what do you advise the homeowner do? Thank you.
So, for water damage, if you contacted your insurance agent first, we do, and I don't know if that's just our company specifically, but what we do is we contact the insurance agent and we let them know what the scope of the damage is. And typically, like as James said, if it's below your deductible, you don't have to file a claim. But we personally do contact the insurance agent and have communication that way. You don't necessarily need to file a claim if it's below the deductible if you're paying out of pocket. But if you've already spoken to your insurance agent before you called us to assess the damage, we do contact them as well, and we make sure that they know that that was properly mitigated so that they can put that on their file as well.
Oh, so like what Adriana says, very important when you have water damage, right? Earlier I mentioned things like maintenance of the home damage caused because they're not maintained is not covered by insurance. So let's just say, for example, there's like a small leakage, and leakage over time is not sudden and accidental. Insurance tend to cover sudden and accidental. So there's a fine line, right? If there's water damage, the whole floor is wet, you don't know if it's covered or not yet. That's why Adriana's company can come in, provide the consultation, provide the estimate of loss before filing a claim. Because let's say you file a claim and it's determined that the insurance company says it's a maintenance issue, it's wear and tear, it wasn't a sudden burst of the pipes causing the damage. That claim being denied, paying zero, has the same impact as a claim that was approved and pays 100,000. The claim, once a claim is filed, there's a claim record. The exception being this recent catastrophe we've had with the fires, there's claim forgiveness for that. But you're generally, when a claim happens, it's the distinction between it's covered or not, whether it meets the deductible or does not meet the deductible. That's why it's very important to talk to your agent, very important to talk to perhaps a third party like Adriana's that can provide you with the insight and the expertise before filing a claim. Okay, yeah. So a lot of carriers found that they're losing a lot of money in California. They may have stopped writing in California, put a pause, or may have exited the California market. So customers are getting notice of cancellations or notice of rate increases. With the notice of rate increase and with the notice of cancellation, I would say just shop around right now. You may have to shop around 2 to 3 carriers because one of the 3 may not be writing it altogether. Rates are going to be competitive, but it is something that the all carriers needed to do to be solvent in California, just because a lot of carriers have been losing money for 3, 4, 5 years straight. And we were talking about really big dollars. So that's why in order to be able to maintain and pay, take care of claims and things like that, the companies had to do a rate increase. So I would say just shop around. There's really no other option, but just to shop around to see what's the best rate that's out there. Just compare, do the diligence work.
Hey, hi, good morning. Sylvia here. Very insightful information. I think it's great. And Brandon, you're doing a superb job as a moderator. What I think that the group would benefit from, even personally for myself, because I think we've all been, I don't like the word victim. I think we've all been a person of experience when it comes to trying to file an insurance claim, trying to get, remediation done and the natural hazard. But I think what would be helpful is to have an overview, something put together with the ABCs all the way through Z of when something happens, kind of like a cheat sheet. And I'll give you an example. We had an act of God disaster in my personal home. There was Edison transformer that blew up. So the transformer fire came over to our home and blew up our microwave that was plugged in, so caused a wall fire. So I'm contacting, okay, in a moment like that, no matter how intelligent we think we are, knowledgeable we think we are, there's emotional elements involved. So how do we come together to stay grounded as to be proactive? Like, what would be something that you can all do with all your affiliates at who has a role in what and how that takes? Because when I contact the insurance company said, sorry, we can't help you. It was not our fault. If you claim an insurance, you're at risk of losing your insurance. So then the remediator person comes in, it's going to cost you over $100,000 to redo your electrical. Okay, in your whole house. You need to find a hotel, move into a hotel, because now you're living in a home that can be caught on fire. So there's a lot of instillment of fear. Next is you contact everybody else, but I found myself to be a teeter-totter ball. I was being tossed around a lot. So collectively, I know no one wants to recommend consultant attorney, but I've learned that there is like a mediator that gets involved, like a coordinator, advocator at will, that will charge, but knows how to jump through the hoops of the system. So I'll leave you with that. Thank you.
I believe the woman that's coming up to the microphone might be able to help with your question. So go for it.
I am actually, like Adriana mentioned, there's something out there called a public adjuster. So what we do is advocate for the property owner when they're going through an insurance claim, not the insurance company. So just like they have an adjuster that comes out to evaluate your damage, we do the same thing, but we're advocating for you to make sure you get every dollar that you're owed through your insurance claim, through all the coverages that James mentioned. So we're here on your side. There's people out there. We're like Santa Claus. We do exist, you know? So so thank you so much, but I do actually have a question for James, or if you could actually speak about, which might answer the gentleman's question, the difference between like ACV and RCV policy, and then also about the moratorium that's going on right now.
Okay. Okay. Do you mention like actual cash value versus replacement cost? Actual cash value versus replacement cost. You always want replacement costs. It's always going to be better than the actual cash value, because if you have personal property that has been lost, right? You have a TV, you might have bought it for $1,000. Your replacement cost, your cash value of that TV now is maybe $200. So you don't want a check from the insurance company that depreciated the value of your personal belongings. You want replacement costs. What would that $1,200 TV cost to replace today? Something similar to that today, maybe another $1,200. You know what I mean? Because actual cash value is not as good as replacement cost, because once you lose, when you're in a situation where you lost everything, you don't want your items to be marginalized or depreciated. So that's why replacement cost is going to be better. So with your policy, replacement cost is going to be always better than cash value, actual cash value, because actual cash value will have depreciated your items that you're claiming. And in regards to homeowners policies right now that are in the affected area, the insurance carriers are continuing to provide coverage for that. So they've announced that there's going to be no stoppage in the coverage, even if there were plans for that before the fire had happened. So that's what's going on right now for at least the next year. But beyond the next year, I really don't know. I can't speak on that because I don't write the rules, and I don't do the actuary, and I don't do the approval of the coverages. So I don't know beyond a year.
No, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. That is it. Thank you so much to the panelists for doing this. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out to them. That's why they're here. And I turn it back over.
Thank you, Brandon. All right, let's give them another round of applause. That was just a lot of very informative and knowledgeable presentation. So on behalf of West San Gabriel Valley Realtors, I'd like to thank our guest speaker. All right, please join us next week as we welcome from the city of San Gabriel, Mayor John Wu. Thank you everyone for joining our meeting today. Have a wonderful day. This meeting is now adjourned.